big round of applause for Radoslav from HackSoft.
Thank you, thank you. So, hello everyone. I'm Radoslav, but before we get to the talk, I want to say hvala na odličnoj konferenciji in a broken Serbian. It's like a really, really impressive conference. We came all the way from Bulgaria, which is a 4-hour drive. And you can really see the effort that everyone's putting into this conference. So please, one big round of applause for the organizers. Yeah, I use Google Translate. I hope it's correct. So, a few quick words about me. I'm Radoslav. I'm the CEO of HackSoft, which is a software development company. We use mostly Python, Django, and whatever JavaScript library is popular right now, for example, React. We're based in Sofia, in Bulgaria, which is also in the Balkans. And I'm also an active Python and Django developer, GitHub, Twitter, email. You can reach me if you want to. So, I'm going to talk about running a code academy or coding academy in the Balkans because I think this is going to be really interesting to you because it has a Balkan context and it's something that can be done, for example, in Serbia or in other Balkan countries. So the main goal of this talk is to share our experience, give some perspective, and give some practical advice. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them on Slido, or you can ask them with the mic after this, or ask them in person. No worries, I'll take any questions if I can answer them. So let's talk about Hack Bulgaria. This is the name of our code academy, or as we started 5 years ago, a hacker school. There was this popular thing called hackerschool.com in the US, which was doing like coding boot camps, preparing people for their first job, skipping the entire university curriculum, not taking the standard computer science approach, so on and so forth. So we decided that we were going to do something similar in Bulgaria because we were studying computer science in the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics, which is basically the place where people learn to program in Bulgaria. This is in Sofia University, and it's the place where you go to take computer science courses. So we were studying computer science, and we thought about, okay, we can teach better than most of the teachers there. We know the things better than most of the teachers, or so we thought. We know things better than most of the teachers. And we can actually make a course that you can take alongside your standard computer science curriculum to fill the gaps that you don't have and actually be more of a, how to say, desirable candidate when you start looking for a job or for an internship. And we actually had no idea what we were doing at the time, 5 years ago, which is very classical. And we really liked the general reverse classroom approach, which back then was also really popular, which says lectures should be for home and homework should be for class. You just reverse everything. So this is the general premise. This is what we started 5 years ago. We wanted a coding school that you can take alongside your computer science curriculum course and fill the gaps. This is it. And we started back then 5 years ago. This is a kitchen, yes. People are coding in a kitchen. We started back then in the very first hacker space in Sofia called InitLab, which existed way before co-working spaces were popular, hype, or even someone thought about, hey, let's do a co-working space in Sofia. So we were running in a kitchen and living room, of course. And we had a group of 20 people doing our very first course. And it was really, really scrappy. We had like no budget. We barely managed to pay the cost for this space, which, as you can see, does not cost a lot. And fast forward, eventually we ended up with our own place, which we still rent, where the courses were a little bit better. But some statistics, so you have the background. For the last 5 years, and this is new for me, I was doing those statistics last week, and I was surprised by how many things we did. We did a total of 30 courses, and this is the pessimistic counting of students, over 600 students. I think it goes way more, but this is the pessimistic count. And half of them actually found jobs from our courses, and the other half found jobs down the road because they were not ready yet to find jobs. And in Bulgaria, this academy, Hack Bulgaria, is actually a sign of quality because we have a lot of academies and most of the academies suck. And we were a sign of quality back then because we were really passionate about what we were doing. So the courses that we did were like all over the place. Mostly and mainly Python, because this is our language of choice, this is what we love. And as you can see, Java and JavaScript as the runner-ups, because Sofia is really heavy on Java and C#, it's like a lot of enterprise there. And JavaScript, you can go without JavaScript, even in the enterprise. But we also did some fun stuff like Haskell programming. We did C# once, never came back to it. Algorithms, QA, whatever you can imagine. And the thing that I want to talk about right now is our flagship course called Programming 101, because this is the concept and the idea that we started with. And we started with zero, knowledge of how to do a course, and we just built it ourselves from iteration and from trial and error. We literally did what programmers do, but with course. We try something, it's not working, all right, let's change it, iterate it again, try it again. And it was a really hard and sometimes painful process to build a concept that actually works, that in the end will guarantee that if you finish our course, you're going to land a job and you're going to be really desirable as a candidate, which happened at the end. And again, the main idea is to help people fill the knowledge gap in order to land their first job. This is the general idea. It's not a course that you take if you don't know how to program. It's not going to work for you. It's a course that you take alongside your university curriculum because the university curriculum had 2 or 3 good courses and everything else was crap. It is what it is. This is the state of things. And a typical programming one-on-one course takes between 3 to 4 months. It's 2 to 3 times a week. It's quite intensive and it's 4 hours per class. It's like, it can get really intensive and you need to allocate time to take this. And we decided to go with small groups, up to 25 and 30 people, because the alternatives back then, when when Telerik, one of the biggest IT companies in Bulgaria, they were running their own academy with hundreds of people in a big room with some guy teaching them, and it was like a huge class. And we decided we should go with small groups because we can pay attention to small groups better than to large groups, of course. And usually half of the people drop out by the end. No matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, half of the people drop out, even if they start highly motivated, because sometimes it's just not the right time for you or for someone else to take such an intensive course, or you have some previous knowledge gaps that you need to fill, or you just need a break. But that's okay. We're quite okay with this, with people dropping out. And so you can believe me, here's a picture of a group of people after the end of one of our many programming one-on-one courses. This actually was the final event happening in the first co-working space after the first hackerspace in Sofia, Beta House. They opened co-working space, and it was quite fun. So, what's the concept? The thing that we actually found out after all of those courses that we did, because we have programming one-on-one with Python, we have with Java, we have with C#, we did a lot of those courses. And the main concept that we found out is that we don't want to learn a single language. Learning a single language when you don't yet have the necessary skills to be a programmer, it's not very, usable. Because you know the language, but you still can't program. You still can't write software. So we decided we don't want to focus on a single language or framework, but rather on a broader spectrum of skills. We want more than just a language. We want a software development course. But still, we needed a language for this software development course because we can go all the way to abstraction, UML diagrams, and just talking and doing nothing. So we wanted to keep it practical. So our language of choice and the courses that were actually the best were with Python. So at the end of a programming one-on-one, people will know a fair amount of Python, but also know a fair amount of software development, because language is not software development, always. And And the thing that we actually pushed on, and people don't really liked it in the beginning, is that we did a lot of problem solving during classes, the reverse classroom approach. It's not just you're coming to the course and you're sitting for 4 hours to listen to someone. You have to actively participate and solve problems. And by problems, I mean a lot of problems. Because if you're not very talented or you have more in your knowledge gap, volume will fix it for you. If you don't feel good about certain language, if you solve 1,000 problems, you will be good with this language. So we did a lot of problem solving. And we were very intensive. And in the beginning, we were like really intensive, 3 times a week, 4 hours of problem solving. And then you have to follow up in your, for homework to finish the rest of the problems. We were always giving more problems than people can actually handle. And this turned out to be not that good because people were burning out. And teachers were also burning out. So the thing that actually worked for us was alternating between 3 times a week and 2 times a week. Because some context about Bulgaria, people come to Sofia to study. They usually don't live in Sofia, although half of the population of Bulgaria lives in the capital city, because all the good universities are there. And when you come from outside of Sofia to Sofia and you're a first or second year student, on the weekends you usually go back to your hometown. And when people go back to their hometown and we have classes on Friday, they miss class. And in our courses, if you miss 2 classes in a row, it's better to drop out, because you will eventually not catch up with the group unless you put on those hours on the weekend, those 8 hours that you missed. So we found out that it's a good idea to have time slots for people going back to their hometowns, because they will do it eventually, we won't stop them. And alternating between 3 times a week and 2 times a week, between weeks, was the sweet spot for us. And of course, each class is 4 hours. And the next thing that we started from the very beginning and we're still doing is Linux. On the very first class, Linux is installed and any use of Windows is prohibited. If you use Windows during our classes, it's better to drop out. And I know this caused a lot of controversy, and people may lash out on me about this, but we found out that this is working better for people that want to learn, because Linux puts you in the right mind, and you have to use the shell, you have to write some bash scripts, and you are in an unfamiliar operating system, which is used for programming and programming only, and you don't have your Windows where you can, in the middle of the class, run League of Legends and start playing because your attention span can handle the entire 4 hours of the course. So this really worked. People hate it. They really hate it. We do it for all of our Programming 101 courses, with the exception of Macs, because Macs have all the necessities of the terminals and the editors, and so on. So this is like really, really good thing. And we teach a lot of Git and GitHub. It's like you need to know how to use Git, and you need to know how to use Git before you go to your first job, or at least some basic knowledge of Git, basic understanding. It's still questionable if people learn Git after this, because Git takes some time, and it's good to retake Git classes several months after the previous, so you find out that you know new things now. But we did a lot of group tasks together, which required working with Git and working with GitHub. And believe me, nothing causes frustration more than 3 people working on a big project, trying to battle with Python, trying to battle with SQL, and trying to battle with Git and GitHub. And there's always someone who, because we always show them first pushes so they can screw it up, and they do it. You know, there's always someone overriding everything with a force push, and this is how people learn. And this is how people learn in a safe environment. They don't do it on their job, because they'll either be too scared to try things on their job, or they will try and be careless and do something bad. So it's good to try those things in a safe environment. And aside from programming, because programming is important, we teach relational databases, and we teach relational databases like a relational databases course, we stop using Python for a while and we start designing databases. We learn about indexes, foreign keys, relations. We learn about SQL. We learn about data definition language and the querying language. And we do a lot of raw SQL queries. And this is really helpful because sometimes you end up learning the abstraction first and then the underlying concept second. And especially for database, in my opinion, it's important to know the underlying concept before the abstraction. So this is what we do. And we teach a lot of, we try to make the students write a lot of unit tests. We show them test-driven development. And if you survey all the students and ask them which was the worst part of the course, this is the worst part of the course because people from the beginning, they kind of don't want to write tests. They don't know how, and it seems like an extra amount of effort that you have to put in for no value. But as we all know, as time goes by, tests are one of the most valuable things that we can do as programmers. So we do a lot of tests. Almost every program needs to be covered with tests, and we show test-driven development just for fun. And we also, since we're running on Linux, we do the default we do is Ubuntu, the latest stable version at the time of the course. We use the terminal a lot, and we do some simple bash scripts so people can navigate or automate something, or at least know where to look at if they need to run a for loop in a bash. So this is also really helpful. It's something that you know you can use, and it's not that scary. Of course, network programming, client-server programming, everything that's fun and can have an interesting problem to be solved inside of it, we do it. It's not a simple Python course, it's a software development course. And the approach for everything is that you have to suffer first and then earn your abstractions. It's like, this is how you really learn the fundamentals. If we first show ORM, people will love it, they'll understand it, and they'll use it, and they'll have pretty clean programs. But when you give a big task for a team of 2 or team of 3, and they need to use raw SQL queries, believe me, the code base gets really, really, really messy at the point of where no one can do anything in that code base. And then we take this and refactor, and we kind of lead them to the abstraction of ORM. Why the ORM exists? It's not like people use it because it's hype. People use it because it solves a practical problem. So we do a lot of this in our courses. And we end with a week-long hackathon. We end with a demo day where we have our sponsors, where it's like you bring your CV and you find your potential employer, for example. And some pictures from some of our demo days. As you can see, quite young people. This is a big picture. Yeah, we had pretty big groups. There's also a terrace in Sofia where you can take a picture. So yeah, everything that we do is in GitHub. Our courses are all of our problems, all of our materials. We push them to GitHub. You can check our latest Programming 101 if you're interested. People usually take those courses online. We don't do online. We all do, I'll tweet this. We do on site, but people usually say, I want to learn Python, I'll solve all problems from the last Programming 101, and this is going to be good enough for me. And it usually is, because we have a lot of problems, and they're kind of set up in a way to teach you something. So everything's in GitHub. And the thing that we found out is that we do a lot of improvisations in those courses. We start up with a schedule in mind, we start up with a program in mind, and we end up with something totally different. And this is like the good part about it, because you go with the group. There are like no two groups that are the same. And if one program is working for one specific group, the same program will most probably won't work with the next group. So teachers do a lot of improvisation. You start with something in mind in the beginning of the class, and you end up in a totally different direction, which is great, because people ask questions, teachers improvise, and they together, go to a place where they understand the topic in a better and a deeper way. So a lot of improvisation, which of course is not scalable. We cannot repeat this. We try to repeat 2 courses with the same program, and it's never working because there's always improvisation. And of course, being a teacher in such a course is like you learn the most. People are okay, they will learn, they will still have a lot to learn, they will most probably find a job, but you as a teacher, you will learn a lot because if you want to do it good, you have to understand a lot, and there are times where you're calling something in front of the class and you realize the thing that you're describing, you finally get some clarity on this topic. It's like 5 seconds before you have to say something, you get the clarity, and you say it with like you've been practicing all week long, and it's really nice. Those moments of clarity are really nice, and they happen to all the teachers that are teaching in Bulgaria. And as I mentioned, there's a reverse classroom approach, little to no lectures, homework for class, lectures or for homework. And we were pretty religious about that in the beginning, and it turned out that it's stupid to be religious about something because, again, it's improvisation and it's context. The rough percents of lectures and on-site coding is like 40% to 60%. We don't do full reverse because it's not working, because people, when they go home, they won't do the job. That's why they're coming to you, coming to the class, so they are in this state of learning, and they know that if they come, they'll have to put some effort. So it's no longer a full reverse classroom. We have courses where we are perhaps 20-80%, and we have courses where we do mostly lectures because this is how people will learn for this particular topic. And of course, enforcing a framework in a learning environment, we found out that it's not working. If you try to put people in some kind of a framework, they will rebel against it, and it's better to go with a group. You have to feel the group, understand the group, and find an optimal solution for the group, which, again, does not scale really well. And this course requires previous programming knowledge, as I said. It's to take alongside your computer science curriculum. Our application process usually looks like this. You have to solve a bunch of problems online. Then you have to pass an online interview, and then you have to make the cut. We have small groups, and sometimes, of course, we'll have 2 groups or more, but it's a tough process, and we try really hard to filter people out. Because when you say you're doing, and I'll mention this in a second, free programming courses in Sofia, where if you're a programmer, your standard of life is really above average, and all people want to become programmers because it's paid well, everyone will apply for this. When we say we have a free course, we'll get something like 300, 400, 500 applications if we market it well, and even more, because people want to learn for free. But not all of them will stick. Most of them will drop out in a week or 2. So we try to filter them in advance. We try to really, really filter them with problems, with interviews, and we still are doing not that good of a job because half of the people are still dropping out, no matter what we do. But we have an application process. And for the last 7 minutes, I want to mention the business model that we started with. Because you'll say, Rado, give us the money, show us how you can make this sustainable, because if it's free for the students, it's not really good. So the course is free for the students. They pay nothing. There are like no contracts, no legal binding. It's on their goodwill to come and stay, which is the base premise that we started with. We have sponsors for each course, and the sponsors pay an entry fee. We have like a flat fee. If you're a company and want a sponsor to have a chance to recruit and hire, you have to pay an entrance fee. And we charge recruitment fees if one of our not out sponsors hires someone from the course. Standard recruitment fees as the market. But the reality is a bit harsh, because we usually announce courses while in the middle of sponsorship negotiations. And if we end up with 0 sponsors, we cannot cancel the course, because this is all we do. If we cancel the course, we lose credibility, we're out of business totally. So there were cases where we ended up with 0 sponsors in a course, which means we're totally in the red. Bulgarian IT companies are not used to, they don't want to pay recruitment fees for interns and juniors. This is not something they do. It's not something that the market knows. If you give them seniors, they will pay you as much as you want. If you give them juniors, they're, I won't pay you. It's not what the market wants. And our business model sucked, actually, and we struggled a lot with it. And actually, we sucked a lot at sales because we were mostly focused on doing good courses. This was our passion. And eventually, we were going out of business. We were trying really hard, making paid courses, but we were going out of business for sure. And then the transition came because we decided to roll our own learning management system, something like Moodle, and a grading system that takes code tests and runs your code in a sandbox and tells you the output. And this actually helped us keep our programming skills sharp. And also we found out that we have an equal passion for building software as we have for teaching. And this way, HackSoft, the company that we actually do right now, was born because we found out that we love doing software and we should start doing software. We should start writing software. And this is our primary focus right now. And everyone but one who is working right now at HackSoft came from our academy. It's kind of, we raised our own people. I think that's the current statistic right now, which is pretty amazing for me. And this is our last programming one-on-one course with Python, as you can see. And from this course, we took 3 interns, which are right now working at HackSoft, and will eventually become junior programmers, and so on. And currently, we do courses because we want to do them, not because we have to sustain some kind of a business, which makes the courses even better because we don't care for sponsors. It's like, if you want to sponsor, those are the rules. If you don't want to pay, then you're not sponsor. We're still going to do the course, and we're still going to hire the best for us. And the rest, they will eventually get hired in the market. So we're still helping the market. And we love writing software as much as we love teaching, so we do both. And it's like really liberating to make courses that you want to do and you love to do, and not try to sustain a model which we found out that is not working. So in conclusion, and we're going to have some time for questions, I'd say if you want to do a course, you should totally do a course. You should go and do a course because first you will learn a lot, and second you will help people start their career. This is a great feeling to have. I'm not sure how's the course landscape in Serbia, but in Bulgaria, 5 years ago it was something new. Right now you have huge companies like SoftUni, which are making huge courses, and they're competing with the major universities, and it's like, it's not that hot of a market anymore, but here perhaps it is, and doing courses is really good. The market potential, this is the thing, seems like untapped, because in Bulgaria we do a lot of good courses, but we do them in Bulgarian, which means we are closed in our markets, like 7 million country population. It's not that much. And if we start doing them in English, then suddenly all of those good teachers that we have can teach more people and reach more people. And if you want to make an academy and make a profit out of it, make sure you have a proper business model. And don't do it on the fly like us, because it won't work. The last thing that I saw that is actually working is called Lambda School. It's in San Francisco, and they have a really nice model which we tried replicating in Bulgaria, but it turned out to be illegal to take money from people based on their salaries. So, bad luck. And in the long run, something I think that's really important for the Balkan region, if you want to succeed and become the IT powerhouse that we are, is that we should start teaching in English. Because, again, we have great teachers in Bulgaria teaching in Bulgarian, great teachers in Serbia teaching in Serbian, and we're a small market, small countries. I think we should start teaching more in English and start actually getting people from the Western countries coming here to teach them, because we will probably do better courses than them. And thanks. Time for questions.
Thank you very much, Radoslav.
Yeah, thank you.
You can pick off a few from the top.
What code editor IDE do you suggest for a beginner programmer? Depending on the language, for Python, we suggest Sublime. Or, back then, Sublime. Right now, we say pick one of Sublime, Atom, or Visual Studio Code. on your liking. Have you thought to open a HackSoft office in Serbia? If we can open a HackSoft office in Serbia, it's going to be great, which means we are doing things correctly and our business is running really good. So far, no, because we're based in Sofia, we're 15 people, we're still growing, but I hope for a better future on this. You have Git and programming courses. What about soft skill trainings? Ooh, this is hard. So the thing that we do about soft skills is we don't teach them explicitly because we kind of don't have the time in the program, but we teach them implicitly when we group people to do teamwork. And then you start seeing that you kind of, people start to communicate between each other and they don't do it very well and they start to have quarrels and sometimes there are shouts and we then intervene and try to stop any kind of aggression. But this is a whole different topic that I think deserves a whole different academy. It's because soft skills are pretty important. We do them implicitly. We try to show them that if people form a team and they don't start communicating well, they will end up fighting for stupid things. And this is what usually happens. Yep, is learning to work as a team part of the course? Yes, it is. We do a lot of team projects in order to learn it, in order to make people struggle and see why they need the abstractions that we teach them. So yeah. Is knowledge of terminal shell programming a prerequisite? For the course, no, because we teach it. For general programming, I won't answer because it's way too broad.
How about a question from the audience?
Yeah, if there's a question, you can.
Can you raise your hand? Okay.
I'll answer them quickly if you want.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, do you think it is better to use IDE or Jupyter Notebook for this kind of courses? Actually, no, because we want to make them feel like they're in a real programming software environment. If they're doing machine learning and data science, perhaps we'll be running a lot of Jupyter, but not for our... If you train people yourselves, why do they get internships instead of employees since you're already aware of their skills? Well, because there's a ladder to climb. It's good not to skip steps. You can climb it quick, but it's good not to skip steps. Do you think the academy like this can be sustainable with the same business model but better sales? Yes, with way better sales. For example, right now, we have way better approach, and if we start all over with the academy, we're going to probably make it sustainable, but you need to be really good sales because companies negotiate hard. Last question, have you thought about doing such course outside of Bulgaria, like in Serbia? And if yes, we do it in Serbian or in English. So if we do this course outside of Bulgaria, it's going to be in English, because if we teach in Bulgarian and Serbian, it's not going to be really good. Yes, we have thought, and we'll probably do such courses outside of Bulgaria, but most probably we'll start with London. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Radoslav.
Thank you. So, our experience on PyCon so far is really good. We love the organization, we love the spirit, we love the people, we love the food. It's amazing here. Why we decided to be part of PyCon Balkan, because we're also part of the Balkans. We're coming from Southern Bulgaria. We're doing a lot of Python courses, software, and we decided that it's a good idea to support each other because the Balkans are a whole region and we should market ourselves as a whole region, not as separate countries. So, that's it.